Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
So super excited to be here. Over the next 30 minutes, we're kind of going to try to give you guys a very high level picture into how we transformed creative operations at PENN. So from where we started to where we are now and some of the things that we have coming up, you'll find that the theme is probably that change is irrelevant and constant. So stick around with us as we go through this, but we'll kick it off with, quick intro.
I am Aleisha Smith. I am the Brand and Multimedia Experience Manager on the Internal Communications team for PENN Entertainment. What that really means is I work with 8 other individuals, I'm counted in that number, and we help uphold brand standards that these guys help do with our property external branding, but we interface that for our internal team member audience. And then I also oversee a small team of 2 creatives where we are in the multimedia channel, so anything from an email that needs to be sent to a C-suite executive, or taking something like a flip page PDF and turning it into a Squarespace site for a company-wide newsletter. We are working on that alongside with motion graphics, animations, and videos as well.
I'm Jeremy Kantner. I'm design manager on the brand marketing team. So we have, you'll get into this a little bit more, but we manage creative for 14 different brands across 43 properties all over the United States. We close an average of about 500 jobs a week. So get into team size and things later on, but that's a quick preview of who I am.
Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Hunt. I am one of the senior graphic designers with PENN Entertainment. I oversee a team of 4 junior designers, and I also manage our creative and our jobs for 9 of our Northeast region properties, as well as handling campaigns, creative for our larger omni-channel initiatives throughout the PENN ecosphere. And kind of serve as Jeremy's right-hand man for everything Litho, so.
Yeah. All right, so who is PENN Entertainment? PENN Entertainment is a regional gaming operator. Like I said, we have 42 destinations all over the country, ranging from full casino resort spas to horse race tracks and everything in between. This is just a little highlight about us. We're $5.6 billion in revenue, 32 million people in our loyalty database, and we have 25,000 team members nationwide. So it's a very big company, and we've found that using Litho helps us really create at scale, because we have over 200 users of the program on a daily basis. So we're getting input requests from all 42 of these locations every single day.
While we do have a very large team member, a lot of team members across the nation, our actual creative team in the creative studio at PENN is somewhat small. We have 21 total employees. That goes all the way from 14 junior designers all the way up to our creative director. We do a lot of volume, upwards of 500 jobs per week, and we kind of handle a little bit of everything, from full 360 campaigns all the way down to on-property signage that you would see if you were at a casino.
So within internal communications, I think we're all very familiar with this variation of it's not about what you say, but about how you say it and how you make people feel. And that is a mantra that is alive and well for us and a strategy that we live by. So with that, we are brand champions. We are there to drive the culture. Whether, like I was saying before, it's something for a C-suite executive or maybe an hourly team member that we have to let them know that there is an update to a benefits change and we need to hit our team members where they are and tell them the information that they need to know. We're doing it in a way that is intentional and on brand and timely and consistent.
So where do we start? I think similar to a lot of people here, our process started in the email world of lost messages, missed projects, multiple timelines being missed. It was just total chaos. We were actually customers of Litho when it was still in motion and migrated in 2021. So we've been familiar with the workflow process from InMotion and kind of migrated that over into Litho. But prior to InMotion, it was total chaos. We were a smaller company then, we didn't have 42 locations, but it was still multiple stakeholders, multiple brands, opening projects with no real direction or process in place at all. So enter the transformation journey after, and now there's a process. So the interesting thing about our team is internal communications has their own instance of Litho. So there's a lot of things that they do that's completely different than we do, but the core of this process is the same, regardless if HR is opening a project with them or marketing is opening a project with us. So the processes across the company, regardless of those two departments, is the same. And this is what we follow now moving forward. So, we always have somebody that's approving requests as they come through. That's the only way they're going to move forward into getting worked on by either one of our teams.
So while I'm not the biggest fan of numbers, I did take a creative role for a reason. We have heard from all of the speakers and through various roundtable discussions today that data matters, numbers matter, much to my dismay and to the delight of my high school math teacher and statistics teachers. We knew that we had to pay attention to what those numbers were showing us. And it revealed that there were pain points and bottlenecks on both sides. We were seeing things as far as requests coming in where our stakeholders didn't quite understand what a due date really was and how that affected a drip campaign and what kind of information do I have to provide to you? And then for us getting that request and realizing, who's on first? What's happening here? And being able to quantify that information and provide that to our executive partners so that we could get their buy-in was something that we knew we needed to do. We had good information, but we knew we needed it to be better. And with the insights within Litho, we were able to show some of those things to get additional headcount, to get tools that we needed, to get processes in place, and help to clear up what some of these bottlenecks were so that it was easier for both sides of the situation.
100%. So what do? We structured our entire team. So when we originally started, we had a team of 16 designers, including all the senior designers, and they all worked on everything. There was no model, there was no real structure or process in place. So what we found is we never really knew what the true volume of the work was that was being done by each specific person. So we took a step back and really pulled all the reports to understand how much work we were doing by property, and then we reorganized the entire team to have regionalized groups. So now, like, Tyler is the Northeast region for our company, and he manages all 9 properties in that region. So all the creative requests come to him to approve. He assigns it to his team to work on. The proofing goes right back to those stakeholders, just like every other project does through the company. And we have 4 regions set up now. That's a very efficient and quite honestly consistent process with these properties, because the challenge is, in our world, people move around. So we have to stay familiar. As marketing leaders move across the enterprise, they need to have that familiar process in place regardless of what property they sit at. So that's a big deal for us to be able to make sure whatever team they're working with, that process stays intact and it's consistent. It also helped because prior to us having a regional format, I was having all 40 stakeholders come to me as the main point of contact, and I couldn't keep up with any of it. So now we have this 4 senior designers as the primary points of contact, and they can escalate things as they need to up the chain to get the right answer for the property of the stakeholders.
As part of that, we also leveled up all of our request forms. This wasn't something that happened overnight. It really kind of started in 2023 when we got buy-in from Hollywood Greektown to kind of go through and kind of rethink that whole process of how our and our jobs were launched. So what that does for us now is it allows us to make sure our jobs are put in with more accurate information from the start. Our creative team is getting better briefs to start with right before any creative is even done. This also allowed us to do some project-specific request forms. Those are based on established service level agreements with our company and the properties. And that also allows us to date restrict our jobs. So no longer can they go in and accept their own requests and backdate jobs as they were so used to doing previously.
Which takes us to the next slide.
Which, again, brings us to rush jobs. Backdating jobs was a big issue for PENN. So now we've kind of overhauled as part of that process where the senior designers accept all of these requests and launch all of the jobs. If a job truly is a rush or a late job, it needs to be escalated. So we kind of rethought that whole process. We wanted to make sure that any key individuals that needed to be included in that process, whether marketing VPs on the property level, our seniors, our higher ups, we wanted to make sure that that was visible for them anytime a job needed to be escalated. And the reason why is because it was so abused in the past that every job was essentially getting thrown in as a backdated rush. We're getting maybe 1, maybe 2 days to turn creative around. Creates a situation where our team doesn't really get to shine creatively.
To put it in perspective, what this meant for us, we had, prior to implementing this process, a 45% rush job. Our standard SLA is 8 days. So you're talking about them wanting creative faster than 8 days from our team, and we're closing 500 projects a week. So it's a significant number of rush jobs that we were doing in a very quick time. So we really had to understand, what do we need to do to make this harder for this to happen? Because it was just like ignored and completely not even looked at until we started really diving into the data and the numbers.
And for what it's worth, we get better visibility now, and we can now differentiate between those jobs that are truly a business need and those that are, bad planning. Someone dropped the ball somewhere down the line, and now we're having to pick up the slack for that.
Yeah, we added a second priority so that we label them as late jobs, as ones you just forget to open. But we do have one that we identify as rush if it's entertainment's the bane of our existence, because you have to go on sale 7 days after you announce, and that's the ones that are always rushes. You can't not do it because it's part of your contract, but it's also, it's the nature of the beast. We don't have any way to get around it, but.
Something else that we also did was basically set up a home base. How many of us currently, or in our recent past, have had at least 3 different locations where we're storing assets? Maybe in a Teams chat, local drive.
Desktop.
Yeah, desktop, somewhere else, SharePoint site that you hope someone else might have access to. And now imagine that you are just hired into an organization and somebody needs you to do a rundown report. Shout out if you know what that little tidbit is from. And you're thinking, what is a rundown report? Where do I even go to find that information? And who do I have to give it to? That was the experience of a lot of our HR stakeholders. They were coming into situations, and a lot of the times, these are teams that are overtaxed already. They're trying to do their regular job on top of provide some additional assets and resources. So we created this home base, which was like the VIP pass for our HR stakeholders, and we're gonna show what that looks like. We took Brand Center and we waved our magic wand and said, here you go, it's all right here. Go ahead and get your one-stop shop. So what we're looking at now is what we did with the Brand Center. We call it the IC Hub. And this will give you information as far as who the internal communications team are, and we have some focus groups that we break out into that, as well as provide you some information to all of our company-wide campaigns and initiatives. So let's say that you want to do something for National Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month. Where do you even begin to do that? Well, on this little left-hand side, we'll have a little a link for you to click that will give you, here's where your back of house materials are. Here are your Canva templates. So we're linking outside of things that you would need assets to that we've already developed and created for you. You just maybe have to, change a name field somewhere. As well as being able to provide, let's say you are a new team member and you know that Litho exists, and you know that you have to send a request because you've tried to email us, but we just kind of really aren't paying attention to you because it's not on Litho, we're not doing it. There is a reminder there as far as how to submit a request. There are all of our SOPs in place as far as maybe this is something that you want to be doing, but you're not quite sure. And there's also the link to go directly to our request to fill that out. In addition to maybe you did something really great, or somebody that you know did something really great, maybe on that rundown report, and you want to recognize them, we also have our employee recognition platform located inside of this as well. So if there is something that the internal communications team has touched, it probably lives inside of here. And if maybe you don't have access set up through IT yet, you're a new team member, you can come here. You don't have to remember where a whole bunch of links are within your browser. You can go to the IC Hub and get everything you need and get on with your day.
Shamefully, their hub looks way better than ours, so I'm not going to show you our hub. But what I am going to show you is a more traditional way of using the brand center, which is truly a digital brand guide. So this is our new Hollywood Casino brand. We just opened our casino in Joliet in Illinois on Monday. So this is the brand new brand, brand new building. It's a big, exciting time for us. We have been very busy with signage and everything else that goes along with it. But this allows us to share this both internally and externally with all the assets that are on brand. We have templates built out. You can copy and paste the hex codes right from the color palette. This is the most powerful tool that we have used to date to maintain our brand with this brand in particular. So we've done thousands of assets over the last few weeks just trying to get this property open. And without this, it would have been painstaking to go through it. So this allowed them to pull right from the photography collections that are in here. They can pull videos from it that are approved. We have stock libraries that are also approved to go along with this. And then every activated graphic and logo that we've done is all in here at their fingertips, no matter if they're internal or external. So this has been a very powerful tool for us to use.
We do have plans as well to get our other 12, well, other the 13, because this is the 14th brand, our other 13 brands in the brand center as well for the rest of our enterprise brands.
So this is the proof of how all of this has worked for us. Before COVID, we were closing 40% less work with a bigger team. Now that was prior to Litho, that was prior to the link sync connector, prior to any DAM solution that we had. This was truly us just trying to get through day to day. We now have a smaller team. Our SLAs were shortened by half on average. So our standard SLA before was 14 days and we went down to 8 on average. So you're talking about a significant decrease in time we're spending on the jobs, as well as we're closing way more work with a smaller team than we had before. So there's been significant changes that we have made as a team to get the process in place, make sure we're efficient and organized in a way that just helps us to succeed. We've also seen a 50% increase in our projects closed on time. Part of this goes back to when we updated the forms, we really went on more of a project-specific form instead of one form that was what type of collateral is this, because our SLAs are different based on job. So now our due dates and the project forms are really dependent on the project type that they're requesting. So if they're requesting a print collateral job, they have an 8-day SLA. If they need a rush, again, they have to email and get the buy-in for that from leadership. Giving us the restructure also really gave us a better picture as far as where Tyler could move work around to his team if a rush job got open. So he had a much better intimate picture as far as the volume that he was dealing with on a smaller scale, as opposed to me trying to deal with it with 16 designers and trying to move work around between 16. He can now do it on a much smaller scale with his team specifically.
92% decrease in rush projects. I think at the end of the day, I'm a creative. That is, to be able to pull that off in the span of 2 years for our team is just absolutely incredible.
Yep.
I mean, rethinking, re-overhauling that entire process, it's a night and day difference.
Yeah.
Not only in the amount of time we have to now work on our projects, but also in the creative that we are sending out that is being displayed at our properties that you would see on a billboard. Across every channel that we do, the proof is kind of in the pudding with that. It really, really helps.
And this is our average enterprise-wide, but for his region alone, Tyler does a really good job at pulling numbers and reports. Just to give you an idea of the volume we're talking about, tell them where you were.
Q2 of last year, we had done about 700 projects total in my region, which is a lot. I have the highest volume. Typically for every quarter, I will have the highest volume for any of the 4 regions. We were at 56% rush rate for that time period. By the time we had implemented the new process in Q3 of last year, So by Q4 is when we really saw the difference. We were down to about 11% in Q4. We have been able to maintain that in both Q1 and Q2 of this year as well.
So he went
It's
from
very stable.
He went from 700 rush jobs to 131.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it made a significant difference.
We saw an 85% reduction in asset requests. So, like I was saying before, trying to figure out who to go to and where to go as far as finding the things that you needed from just a creative ops standpoint to get the deliverable done, because that clock is ticking. The minute that your quester sends it, they're like, okay, are you done yet? Like, can we have the deliverable now? Allows us to be able to go into the dam, and even just from an efficiency standpoint of myself as an individual contributor for creative operations, has been something that has allowed me to go in and see what the creative studio team has done, especially for like the new Hollywood brand. I'm taking some of the things that they have done and I'm looking at turning those into internal facing pieces. I can go into the dam and look at all of the beautiful collateral that they've created and know that it's been vetted, know that this particular type of layout is what I need and use it as design inspiration, get what I need. And now I can talk to Jeremy and Tyler about things that are just not like, hey, where's this asset? Can you give it to me? I can actually talk to them like human beings.
Yeah. So that's helped immensely.
And that works for our team too.
Yeah.
We might not have the same customer-facing message that we would see in back-of-house spaces, but we still are able to go and access that creative from a layout standpoint. We might be able to leverage some of that for front-of-house facing collateral as well. So it's great for us.
Yeah.
And then, so with the dam and the link sync connector, we've kind of been able to move everything into one centralized location. If you are any dam customers in here, then you know how powerful of a tool it can be to have everything in one place. It gives us the ability as a team, when we're closing the amount of volume that we're closing, to have the ability to just send one working file rather than needing to package up assets, to send out a bunch of large images, large PSDs. It really does make it a little bit easier for our team to work faster across that channel. Especially with the link sync connector, we are no longer having to send photo assets. Everything is linked right from the start when you grab a working file from our dam. It's a huge help for us, but it also ensures that our design team is able to pick up whatever they're going to need, whether it be logos, whether it be approved image assets from our brand photography, fonts, anything that we are going to need creatively. It's all approved, it's all vetted by the seniors and Jeremy. It's all in one place. We don't have to worry about anything. It's easy to swap out if we need to.
Yeah, it takes a situation that's like, oh, damn, to, damn.
Yeah, the link sync connector is really, really powerful, especially for a team our size with the amount of assets that we do. And a lot of the work that we do is fairly duplicative, where, we have 19 Hollywood casinos. So we could potentially pick up a poster that one of them did, change a logo out, and it's the same thing for the next one. So that becomes very powerful because you can very quickly change that using the link sync connector. You don't have to download a package file. You don't have to replace links on your desktop. It's all linked directly to the dam from InDesign. So that has been a huge, huge help for us from an efficiency standpoint. That has made a big, big difference.
So if you don't have the dam, talk to your CSM. Got you, buddy. I got you.
And I think my favorite stat of all this is because of the data we've been able to pull out of Litho regarding both volume but also the types of jobs that we're doing, is we have had between our two teams 5+ team member of the quarter winners at the enterprise level. So we have had 5 people win. Tyler standing on the stage, he was a winner as well.
Very nice.
Which is great because we get to now really recognize the work that's being done, which we didn't have visibility to before Litho. So now you have that data to back up these nominations that are like, wow, this person closed 200 jobs last month. That's crazy. So we can now nominate them for Team Member of the Quarter.
And I think too, Litho shapes better creatives. We hear and we can easily see from insights who our workhorses are, but we're also able to take people like Tyler and pull them out of the minutia of the administrative aspect with workflow and allow them to shine in those growth and flex periods to focus on more of that creative strategy to deliver more exceptional and elevated experiences for our guests. And then that rubs off on us and like, oh man, that looks really cool. We gotta do that too. So from an HR perspective, engaged employees and recognized employees always lead to better retention results. Who does not want to keep those?
Yeah, 100%. So these are just some things that we learned along the way. Data is the fastest way to drive decisions and affect executive leadership. So it took me a long time to break through this, but once I did, our VP has now said on numerous occasions, if it's not in Litho, we are not doing it. So having that buy-in from her because of what we've been able to show her from the volume that we're closing, the rush jobs that are open, the reduction in how long we're closing these work, the increase in productivity that we're seeing, because of all of that data, they all now understand the value that Litho brings. I mean, so much so that we have a brand new team that started, I onboarded last week, that's a completely new team to the enterprise. They did not have this whole department before, and their leader came to me and said, we need to get templates set up in Litho so I can manage and track their work.
The other real big benefit to the data that we have is that Jeremy isn't always in the weeds every day with our juniors, with the senior design team.
Correct.
So I'm able to go through and also pull reports and access that data to bring things up to him that might need to be changed.
Yeah.
You know, this entire request form that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have access to that data because nobody would have been aware of it.
Correct. Yeah. And then don't be afraid to change. I will say we're not satisfied. We're still making changes today. I'm calling it workflow 2.0 coming next. So that could completely change the way that we do work now. But, very excited about where we're going, and, having that buy-in is what really allows us to make these changes and make better improvements for everybody.
Yeah, and I'll say, with the aspect of never stop learning, push boundaries, don't be afraid of change, you might come up with a process that will work for 6 months or a year, but something will change, inevitably, as the landscape of things naturally do, that require you to, figure out, okay, I've got to go in and readjust this. If you're not sure, talk to your CSM. I mean, they will partner with you. I mean, just about any single time that there's been something that has been a wish list for me, Jeremy likely has probably already asked for it. And when I go to Jen, she's like, oh yeah, it's on the map. Or within a week or two, like an update from Litho comes out and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember I was gonna ask about this, but I'm glad they already took care of that for me. So
you can ask Jennifer. Our wish list is probably quite long.
Very long. So Chris knows too.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, that's all we have, but.
Amazing. Y'all want to take a seat?
Sure.
Yeah. That was a masterclass. I love so much of this presentation. There are a couple of things that I just personally really, really resonate with, because I think this is truly a masterclass in proving the value of creative. Mm-hmm. So one of those, the idea that you're using the data to highlight your team members across the organization, not only does that benefit those team members and their careers, right? Resume making moments, those highlights too, that they could post on LinkedIn and be so proud of. But to your organization, it's also making them think, wow, that creative team is really stellar. Mm-hmm. Like, they're getting it done. They're doing things, and then they're gonna include you in more things. They're gonna trust you with more things.
Exactly.
And it creates so much of that bridge. So I think that's just truly, truly fantastic. And there are a ton of questions, and I know a lot of people here agree with me. So let's get to the things that the people wanna know. Okay, so the top voted question, which is funny to me because I feel like we heard this from Lexi and now we're hearing this again. How do you respond when someone submits a request by email rather than Litho?
We don't.
Yeah, we typically don't see
You
very
just
many of
ghost
those.
them? You don't respond at all?
Well,
I mean, generally, we'll send an email and say you need to put it in Litho.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it's not like, I don't check my inbox for project requests, right? So like, it may be a day before I look at it. So it's not like, whereas if they're opening a request, it's going right to him.
Yeah.
There's no delay at all. So trying to like use that as part of my feedback when they send an email is like, this could have got open yesterday.
I love that. So being like ultra responsive in Litho then also gives them the adrenaline rush of like, oh, they're paying attention, they've got me, there's trust here.
Yep.
Over the last year or two, we've kind of got our properties, all 42 of them, thankfully, very trained on that process of when you are opening a request, if it does need to get escalated, you send the email immediately before we even launch the jobs. That will allow us seniors to go through and automatically adjust the timelines before we, instead of having to go back in Gantt and shift timelines around, we can just do it all at once from the start. So we've got them pretty well trained to do that.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so we've talked, I think you included, oh wow, okay, this is of the moment. We're changing priority. Talk to us a little bit more about your Rush project process, because you guys have amazing stats.
Yeah.
But are you using tags? Are you using priority flags? Like how do you report on them? How do you track them?
Priority. So we have priority flags. There's a rush one and a late one. Before we started tracking late versus rush and not just rush, it was all the same. So like that was when it was completely out of control. And any job that got launched in the red was rush. So that's how we tracked it, is the seniors, as they were assigning the work, they would change that priority. And because that's a reportable item, you can actually see in your report what the priority was. That was before Insights, so we were putting it in Excel and getting your average from there.
Yeah.
But thankfully, Insights kind of does a lot of it for you now, which is great.
I love it. I love it. We have a customer actually that uses the priority field Flaming Hot Cheetos, which is my favorite. So you can have fun with it too, right? You can have fun with your team, the colors you're using, the emojis you're using, and just make it like, yeah, it's process, but it can be fun too. And just a quick question on Rush. Are you allowing requesters to mark things as Rush in your forms? Or is that something that you're doing based on a date that they're selecting, et cetera?
No, they have to send an email to a distro list, which has all the leadership on it, our leadership and their leadership. And that's the only way that it'll get approved. So,
And it's per job too.
Yeah, it's
We
every
prefer to do
single
it
job.
per
So
job.
you
So if
literally-
there's 7 or 8 jobs, that's hitting all the right people, and that's a lot of
You-
inbox
So
you're
going
shaming
there.
them.
100%.
If they
Kind of,
request a
yeah.
Rush,
And-
that's how you got it down.
And
You were
by the
shaming
way,
them.
we tried other things before this, and our VP was just like, this is crazy. Everybody has to know that this is happening. So it was her idea to really put this and make them go on blast and ask everybody
Public
for it.
display. That's great.
So-
And effective. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're gonna ask a few more. I know we're a little bit over, but we're coming into a break, so I'm gonna take my my creative license here. Okay, if or how do you leverage the DAM as an internal art server for native working files, like InDesign across the creative team? So how are you guys organizing that today and using the DAM?
Yeah, we have native files in the DAM. We don't store anything on a server anymore. Everything gets uploaded there, just the raw InDesign file, the raw Illustrator files, any link. So Illustrator and LinkSync connector don't connect, so everything's embedded into Illustrator files. With InDesign, if you download an InDesign file from our DAM and you open it in InDesign, our links are staying linked to the DAM. So you don't have to download a packaged file. You don't have to zip anything and upload it. It's just that InDesign file that we're storing there. And there, we handle that with different meta properties. So we have like working files as a tag, and the only thing that's labeled as a working file is a true working file.
Right.
So we don't have anything like a logo that's an EPS would not be labeled as a working file. That's just the logo. So you manage it through tags, and that's the easiest way to do it. But
Yeah, we differentiate our final creative because as of right now, we do upload final PDFs, final JPEGs to the DAM. We're still waiting on InDesign previews, if anyone is listening. That's a huge help for
I
our
see where
team.
Chris is sitting.
yeah, so that's a big one for
Yeah,
us.
I think
but-
what they're talking about is that LinkSync connector for the Litho DAM, and that's a game changer for a lot of teams. It is an additional plugin, an additional license, so if that's something you're interested in exploring, again, I'm going to be a broken record, go to the Litho Pro Bar. We will talk to you about it and help you out with it, but it has been super helpful for so many teams. Just the idea of the individual server black box, where your designers are keeping all of those native files, and then they go on vacation for a week.
Exactly.
Or they go on leave, or they
They
decide
leave.
to get a new role, right? And it's gone.
Yep.
And then you have to rebuild it and spend it, like, you're already busy enough. You don't
Yeah.
need to spend designer hours on that. Okay, I'm gonna do one more question. Let me look here. Okay, well, upvoted. Give us one early win, and I'd love to hear from all three of you, or a turning point that helped your team build momentum and trust in the new system.
For me, it was getting the buy-in from Hollywood Greektown. They're one of our top, probably our top third as far as volume goes. Getting their buy-in to the new process early as kind of a little guinea pig really made a difference. They're usually very open to helping us out whenever we need to approach them. And they bought in very quick. And I think at that point it was kind of a light bulb moment of, oh, we actually are able to scale this beyond just them. And it should be relatively easy to get that buy-in from the rest of our properties as well. That was the big one for me.
The cool part about that is that they bought in so hard that they actually participated in training other properties because of how much they liked it. So that helped us immensely get the buy-in, because this is a stakeholder that really truly sees the value in it and helped us train the rest of the team. So that was huge.
I love it. Okay.
I think for my team, so internal communications reports up to HR. And I've been with PENN for like 4.5 years. And since I came onto the scene, hearing and having conversations with my supervisor as far as, they just don't, they know we do things and they know it's important. And there's a lot of people that we're helping out, but they don't have the data. They don't have the information. So being able to, our team also wouldn't be in Litho if not for Jeremy. We were in the email ticketing portion of everybody grab everything, pull it down. And that just simply was not gonna work for me. So we went into workflow and helped develop all of those route forms and processes, and being able to have the insights portion to then take to our executive stakeholder and sponsor and say, here's what we do. And here are these great dashboards that you can see it in that visualizes this data. And it really made it very simple for my supervisor to have the conversation when it came time for the internal communications team to restructure and have those focus areas and maybe pull a little bit away from all of the work going to property to focus on the company-wide initiatives. It was an easy conversation to have. And without having all of that, I don't think I'd be on this stage today.
I'd say my biggest win was the designer buy-in. So really getting the buy-in from the designers to see the value in everything that we've changed, and really explaining to them why we wanted to do it and see how positive and engaging they were, and they jumped in with 2 feet. That was the biggest thing for me, because if they're not happy, everybody knows it. So it was nice to get their buy-in up front with it, and they really see the value in it. Like, they don't like to work outside of Litho. There's very few things that we will do outside of Litho, and it's not something that we recommend at all. So stuff gets missed if it's not in there. And I think they like the accountability, and it also gives them visibility into what their expectations are for the day. So
I love it. If it's not in Litho, it does not exist. There's one more key takeaway, just listening to you guys, that I'm going to add to your takeaway slide, and that is to really embrace and build your internal champions. Each one of these stories has something to do with somebody found some part of the system that resonated with them, that made a difference. And if you can put that on a stage, it will help you with organizational adoption across the board. Different viewpoints, whether that's a compliance person from Lexi's presentation, or a new property that just buys in, being able to elevate their voices can make all of the difference. So thank you guys, amazing. We are gonna be back here in this room again at 3 p.m. Do not miss it. And another round of applause for Jeremy, Aleisha, and Tyler. Thank you.